Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be joining us from. We're so glad that you were able to join us today, and let's get into it. So my name is Leanna Cortez. I am the MFE Associate Director of Admissions and Program, and I have been with the program since its inception when we admitted our very first class in 2008, and they graduated in 2009. And with me, I also have Amber Dicer, the Director of Career Advising and Employer Relations. Amber, do you want to say a couple words?
Happy to. Thank you for the introduction, Leanna. My name is Amber Dicer. I joined the MFE program at Anderson this summer, and I come from a career services background. I was previously at Columbia Business School overseeing career services for their quantitative master's programs there. So very excited to meet you all today and get to speak to you.
Great, thank you so much. And we also have with us Jeff Credidio, my right hand, MFE admissions coordinator. Jeff, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Welcome. So glad to have so many of you guys on this session today. I am the admissions coordinator here at the MFE program at UCLA Anderson. So I directly work with Leanna on all things admissions, as well as supporting, various efforts of the program. But you will likely be interacting with me since we hope for all of you to be applying. And it's great to have you all here.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So with that, for those of you, many of you may know what financial engineering is, and you've been seeking it out, and you found our program and you said, aha, this is the one for me. However, there may be some that have just learned about the term financial engineering, and you're wondering, what is financial engineering? A good way to think about it is mathematical finance or computational finance or financial mathematics. Those are three different titles that you could say, okay, financial engineering is just mathematical finance. It's going to integrate concepts from math, statistics, and computer science with finance theory. So financial engineering refers to the mathematical modeling, quantitative research, and analysis involved in pricing, selling, trading, and investing in a wide range of financial instruments like stocks, bonds, foreign currencies, commodities, derivatives like options, futures, swaps, etc. And what our goal is to provide our students with rigorous training that teaches how to apply your quantitative skills in the financial markets. So our program is full-time. It is a 15-month curriculum, so it begins in the fall quarter. It is STEM designated for those of you who are coming from another country. Yes, it is STEM designated. That means that at the end of the program, there is an OPT that is you're able to apply for and work in the US for an extended period of time if you do receive employment that matches those criteria. So we do begin in the fall quarter, and then we go to the winter quarter and the spring quarter, and then you go off on your summer internship and you come back for a final fall quarter. So as I mentioned, it is 15 months in length. It is very quick. It's very fast paced. We are actually, recruiting for the class of 2023. And that begins September 2022, and then you would graduate in December 2023. So we actually have a class that's about to graduate in a couple weeks. This could be you a year and a half from now. So moving on, I wanted to tell you about our competitive edge. So as you see this slide here, it mentions a couple things. But I wanted to point out that we are a top-ranked quantitative finance program housed in a top-tier business school at the #1 public university in the US. And I say this, I'm very proud of that because we actually received that title for the 5th straight year in a row. And you can look that up in US News and World Report. And other great things about our program is that when you're here as a student, you are taught by world-renowned finance faculty. And, I'll go a little bit more into that later in this session, but just to give you an example, you are in the classroom with Professor Francis Longstaff, who is the co-creator of the Longstaff-Schwartz model, which is still a model that's used on Wall Street today. So you are sitting in fixed income markets with Professor Longstaff, and you're learning from these finance giants. So that's just one example of someone you're learning from when you're in this program. We also are located very close to the FinTech hub, Silicon Beach, and we've got great weather. And so you can't beat it. We were able to have an outdoor event just last week when a lot of other people are bundling up on the East Coast. And then we've also got great multicultural cuisine that you can go out and very easily find if you're homesick or missing your special food. You can find that here in Los Angeles. We've got a career services track record that is unbeatable. And you'll hear more from our director of career advising about that. But we've got a very practical curriculum. You're able to learn and apply what you've learned to the actual finance industry. We've also got a very collegial and cooperative learning environment. We try and foster a very, very cohesive class. And, although there's going to be some competition, we do promote a very close-knit classroom environment. And that holds true until today. So we've got, as you can see, we mentioned on our slide, the MFE Advisory Board. We've got strong industry ties. And I'd like to mention the Fink Center for Finance and Investment. We do have, we're actually right next door to the Fink Center for Finance and Investment. And just this year, we actually relaunched the Quant Finance Fellowship with the Fink Center. And up in the upper left-hand corner, you see the photo of the 3 alumni now that received so many medals for placing in the University Trading Challenge. We got first place. That was from the class of 2019, I believe. And in the upper right-hand corner, that was our first group who went through the Quant Finance Fellowship with the Fink Center. So we are very excited to be relaunching that program. And that's yet another great thing about being a part of the UCLA Anderson MFE program. In the bottom left, we have one of our current students, Armando. We featured him because he did an amazing internship at BlackRock, and he has actually received a full-time offer to return to BlackRock. So he'll be returning after he graduates on December 10th. So we're very proud of him and what he has accomplished. And we've got an engaged MFE team. We've got great team members that are always ready and willing to assist whenever necessary. Our team goes above and beyond. So, that's something that I don't believe you're going to get in other programs, but we are very happy to be able to provide the kind of service that we feel we would benefit from if we were grad students. So we've also got, programming that we offer throughout the year. For instance, we just had someone formerly from Bain and has a background in data science. She came and actually taught SQL to our students. She did one on Zoom, and then she did the other in person. And that was just not last week, but the week before. And we've got a newsletter to help our students stay informed about job openings that might be coming up, about different opportunities that our students might be able to take advantage of. And we've also got communication courses. We had one of the fully employed MBA program deans actually give a program called Stand and Deliver this past year. And it was so popular that we will be hosting it again. So these are just some of the great things that we have going on at UCLA Anderson MFE. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amber for the career services overview. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you so much, Leanna. And hello, everyone. Very nice to meet you today. As Leanna shared, I head up the career services team and wanted to talk through what we offer from the career services perspective. So as you can see here, we have lots of different activities that we have throughout the year. So careers is obviously a big reason you're considering this program. And so we know that careers is an integral part of your experience at UCLA Anderson with the MFE program. And with that, we have lots of support and services for your goals. And really the purpose of the career team is to expand your ability for your career goals within the financial marketplace. Does that mean every single one of our graduates goes into finance? Not necessarily, but the vast majority do, because that is the focus of the program. We have been very successful with our graduates, not only because the program is so strong academically, our students come out with very strong skills in the marketplace and they are in high demand, but also with the partnership that we have with the career services team and a very strong alumni base with the track record of employers coming back year after year to gain talent from the MFE program. We have had a very strong track record, as you can see here on the slide, from the 2019 graduating class, which is the last one we have completed the cycle for. We've had 100% employment 6 months post-graduation, and our average total compensation was at $112K. So wonderful results from that class. That was the 2020 class. And our 2021 class is coming up soon on graduation, and they're already tracking very well to continue to meet, and it looks like probably exceed those statistics. Something else that we do, the career services team, we offer the full coaching on the full career journey. And that includes personalized one-on-one coaching to help you design your career path. And we coach you on how to approach that career path for maximum success. And as a student, you'll partner with our team to go through resume development, coaching on networking, interviewing, and negotiation. So we really do cover the full scope, as well as Leanna shared other opportunities like communication and just personal development, because that absolutely feeds in to your career and your ability to gain a job. And if we go to the next slide now, Leanna. So we've covered this a little bit, but let's dig in a little more. What do financial engineers do? They identify and model, they project, they price, they test and implement. As Leanna shared, it's a lot of how do we apply math and technology to finance? And to give you a snapshot of what does that mean in the career field or in careers with these people that get these degrees. So financial engineers apply quantitative models and methods to decision-making in varying career paths, which means they go into a range of financial firms and companies. And that includes commercial investment banks like Citi, Goldman Sachs, Society General, investment firms, mutual funds, and foundations like Fidelity, Putnam, T. Rowe Price, CalPERS. They also go into asset management firms like LA Capital, PIMCO, Capital Group, consulting firms like EY and KPMG, tech companies like Apple and Facebook, and insurance companies like Pac Life. That's a little overview of some of the common places that our students have gone. We have alumni at all of the companies that I listed, and of course more. We have a very strong alumni community that we bring in very consistently to speak to students, and that also come back to us with jobs and opportunities for students. So what kind of roles or paths do our students take? Some of them include asset and portfolio management, corporate treasury management, data science, derivatives valuation, portfolio management, risk management, quantitative research and analysis, sales and trading, and strats and modeling. So this is a little bit of an overview. The majority of our students do go into these tracks. It is not all inclusive. We do have some students that have gone into blockchain, which fit into these areas in different ways, but our students are always going into the newest areas of technology and finance. And so it's exciting to see the way that they trailblaze in the finance realm. So with that, Leanna, I am going to hand it back to you.
Great, thank you so much. And let's move on. So I wanted to also talk to you all about the curriculum. And our curriculum, as I mentioned earlier, it is over in 15 months. It starts in the fall quarter, and that means September to December. You earn 70 units through core and elective coursework and the hands-on applied finance project. So in the first quarter, you're going to take investments and financial accounting and econometrics and stochastic calculus. Then you go on a tiny holiday break and you come to that this upcoming winter quarter, we are offering trading market frictions and fintech for the first time, based upon some very great feedback from former students and also our industry advisory board. They felt that this would be a very, very good way to stay ahead of the trending topics and everything like that. So we're very excited to be able to provide that to our students. We also, as I mentioned earlier, have fixed income markets with Professor Longstaff. We've also got derivative markets and empirical methods in finance. So that those 2 quarters are fully core courses. Then in the spring, you actually come back after spring break and you take computational methods in finance and financial risk management, and then you select 2 out of 3 electives. And those 3 electives are financial innovation, quantitative asset management, and data analytics and machine learning. And those 3 electives, although you're not able to take all 3, you may audit the one that you do not take, because we realize that you all have very curious minds and want to learn as much as possible. So we do everything in our power to not schedule electives at the same time, so that you're all able to sit in on that class which you did not enroll. And so with that, then we have the fall quarter, and this is your final fall quarter actually, in which you are kind of finalizing the applied finance project. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on that, but you're also required to enroll in the fieldwork, research, and financial engineering. And that actually refers to the internship that you do during the summer. The reason we have this listed in the fall quarter is because sometimes a company also, we've got special topics in financial engineering. You're able to choose 2 out of 5. And we've got some listed. They do change from year to year. However, right now, for instance, we are offering credit markets, intro to the finance of blockchain and cryptocurrency. That is one of our new electives that we're offering for the first time this year. We also offer statistical arbitrage and behavioral finance and financial market regulations. So those are just some. Every once in a while, like I said, they do change. We used to offer asset-backed securities. They do, because they are special topics in financial engineering, we are actually able to add topics based upon what the market is doing and based upon what we think our students should be learning at the time. So to go into a little bit more detail about the Applied Finance Project. So the Applied Finance Project is our capstone. It gives you practical know-how. And what I mean by that is it gives you the opportunity to apply your knowledge acquired through the MFE coursework to a real-world financial engineering issue. And you partner with a corporate client. So this gives you that kind of hands-on experience that you will benefit from in your professional life. Students develop and showcase their knowledge of quant finance. You hone your communication skills. You delve more deeply into an area of interest. Projects range from areas including quantitative trading strategies, portfolio management, risk management, hedging, and derivatives valuation. And some of our corporate partners have included Accenture, DoubleLine, Citi, Hyundai Capital, KPMG, PIMCO, PwC, research affiliates, Wedbush. Those are just to name a few. And you know, as a student working on the Applied Finance Project, you're working in a group with those who also selected the project that was of interest to them along with you. You are required to interact directly with your client, allowing an opportunity to gain exposure to potential employers. Some of our students have actually received offers from that Applied Finance Project because the employer was so impressed with the work that was done. So it's always important to bring your A game. And so as I briefly mentioned, during the summer quarter, MFE students work on a required internship, and that does sometimes kind of bleed into the fall quarter. It doesn't always happen, but it is a possibility. And another good thing to keep in mind is you always want to put your best foot forward when you're in your summer internship, because first and foremost, you are representing the UCLA Anderson brand in the professional world. So we want to make sure we maintain that high standard. The second is that you could actually receive a return offer. That is the exception, not the rule. However, it does happen. So these are just good things to remember. And so moving on, I'm sure you are all curious about the class of 2022, which is the class that just entered our program. So if you take a look, we've got a class size of 81. That was when they all started. Average age is 25. The age range is between 21 and 47. So you see there's a very big age range there. And we actually do that because we really value a very rich learning environment. And that can also be seen in the number of countries that are represented in our program. And we've got 15 countries represented this year from all over the world. And so we're very happy to be able to admit such a rich class and create such a rich learning environment. We have 42% women. We are always trying to increase that. I'd love to get to 50-50. That would be amazing. But we are working towards that. As you can see, the average GPA for those that came in with an undergrad degree and no previous graduate degree was 3.62. So, and then oddly enough, this year, the average GPA for those that came in with a previous graduate degree was also 3.62. Our average verbal GRE was 158 raw and 76% in the percentage. And our average quant GRE was 167, which is equivalent to 90%. As I am going over this, I would like to mention that we accept both the GRE and the GMAT. No preference is given between the two, but the majority of all applicants do submit a GRE score. That's not to say, as I mentioned before, we do not prefer one over the other. It's just that the majority of all applicants do submit a GRE score. If you do take the GMAT, aim for a total score of 710 or above to be competitive. As you can also see, for those of you who don't know what the CFA acronym stands for, that is the Chartered Financial Analyst. The 17% you see there is out of our class size. Approximately 17% came in with either a CFA level 1 or higher. And that we recommend for those going into particular branches of quantitative finance, or for those that are looking for a basic foundation in finance, because maybe you came from a STEM degree, which I'll actually get into. Average work experience is 3 years for this class. It does vary. Sometimes it's around 2 years. Sometimes it's around 4 years. That just depends on the pool of applicants and those whom we offer admission. And so, if you look, the highest degree earned, I've alluded to that, but we had 17% of our students come in with a previous master's degree, and that usually means that they were doing some extensive prep work to get into the financial engineering master's degree. So maybe they didn't have quite a STEM undergrad, and they thought, you know what, let me add to my STEM background. Let me get an applied math master's degree, or maybe they did an undergrad in electrical engineering, and then they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do, so they went into an electrical engineering master's degree program, and then they found the financial engineering degree. And it was a perfect match, and they were admitted and they came. So as you can see, the majority of our students come in with just a previous undergrad degree, which is completely acceptable. Many of our students do come in straight out of their undergrad. And I'll go into work experience on the next slide. But so if you can take a look at the undergrad majors, there's a breakdown there. We have the majority of our students coming from STEM degrees. 65% of them came in with a previous undergrad STEM degree in actuarial science, computer science, engineering, which would include aerospace, chemical, civil, computer, electrical, mechanical, software engineering. Those are the most common. And then we have those who come in with an applied mathematics, applied statistics, even some come in with applied economics, and a few have come in with physics. And we've got other degrees, the 3%, that's very uncommon. However, it does happen. We've got some that come in with a political science background. But what I would say is that when you do come in with an atypical undergraduate background, most of them have done extensive work, possibly online on Coursera, maybe through open courses at MIT, or there are so many different ways that you can learn and get a certificate. So if you are doing that, if you are one of those that is actually pursuing certificate courses, make sure when you're applying that you upload those certificates. Or if you are in progress, make sure you mention that you are in progress, and then send us the certificate showing us that you passed the class. That is going to help strengthen your application. And then 32% actually do come in with a business administration or just a straight economics or finance background. And as I said before, those may have other certificate courses that they're working on. Maybe they were taking computer programming courses, things like that. So those kind of things always help. Always think about, how can I show that I am able to handle the rigor of the MFE program? So moving on, we've got our admissions requirements. You are required to present a 4-year degree or equivalent. That is, with the exception of those that studied under the Bologna process. Those applicants should present the bachelor's or the 3-year degree or the master's with the 3+2 degree. So we're looking for someone with quantitative aptitude and strong analytical skills. So as I mentioned before, a degree in math, stats, engineering, computer science, applied economics, finance. Those are all good backgrounds to have to succeed in our program. Many people who do apply with an econ background, maybe they did econ and mathematics. I know UCLA has that major. We also have people that apply with a finance undergrad degree, but they also minored in computer science, or they minored in something STEM-based. So those are always things to consider as you're going through your undergrad. So we're looking for demonstrated computer programming skills, and we're looking for people who have skills in R, Python, C++, SQL or SQL, and computational tools that might be used in the program, like MATLAB. We do teach the majority of our courses in Python. Just this past year, we actually transitioned from R and C++ to Python based upon feedback we received from our alumni and our industry advisory board. So the GMAT or the GRE is accepted, as I mentioned. For those coming from other countries, you will need to take the TOEFL or the IELTS. That is a requirement unless you have, say you're an applicant from China, but you went to university in Australia. That would be an automatic waive. You do not have to request a waiver. You're getting your degree from an English-speaking country, and all of your instruction was in English as well. That remains true for people going to school in the UK or New Zealand or the US, obviously. Ireland, Scotland, if you're getting degrees from an English-speaking country and the classes that you're taking are also in English, that's an automatic waive of that requirement. So bear that in mind as well. So as I alluded to before, work experience is preferred. However, it is not required. So do not be worried if you don't have full-time work experience. We do look at your undergrad trajectory and see if you've done any internships, or perhaps you've had the opportunity to work with one of your professors on a research project. That's going to help as well. And so don't be worried if you're just coming straight out of your undergrad and you're thinking, oh no, I don't have any way to show that I have full-time work experience because I don't have that. That's not really an issue. As I said, work experience is highly recommended, but it is not a requirement. So the CFA progress is preferred. As I mentioned before, other classes have come in with a higher percentage of CFA progress. We believe that, for those coming in with that STEM degree, it does help give you a better understanding of finance when you're in the program, so that you don't have to spend your time learning finance and trying to keep up with all of your homework and everything like that. So for the application itself, 2 letters of recommendation are required. There are 3 spots for the letters of recommendation within the application. That is, the 3rd one is not required. So I would encourage you to go on our website and take a look at our application requirements, so that you can see how we have a workaround for those, that 3rd spot. And 2 MFE essays, plus a personal statement and a statement of purpose. The personal statement and the statement of purpose are a graduate division requirement, which means that we are not going to fault you if you do not submit a personal statement and a statement of purpose in, because the questions really overlap quite a bit. We are okay if you upload your 2 MFE essays. Those are the required ones for us. But you may upload your 2 MFE essays in the personal statement and statement of purpose sections as well. So make sure that, if you're not writing a personal statement and a statement of purpose, that you are uploading your MFE essay number 1 in the personal statement spot and your MFE essay number 2 in the statement of purpose section, as well as the 2 MFE essay sections. So the interview is by invitation only, and it is done via video. So you do record yourself, you receive an invitation, you start an account, and you record yourself, and then the MFE admissions committee reviews your recording with your application. It is a holistic review of your application. We will not review your application without also viewing your video interview. So, we encourage you to make sure you are dressed as if you were going to an interview, because that is what it is. So make sure you don't have a messy bed behind you. If you do have to do it in your bedroom, make sure your bed is made. These are all very, very important things to present yourself in a professional way. And rolling admissions within each round, which means that you could be sent an interview at any time after you have applied. Just bear that in mind as well. And Moving on, so we've got the application and fees. The program, as I mentioned, begins in September 2022. So we are currently taking applications for the start of next year fall. The application fee is $200 non-refundable. However, if you are curious about that, there is a place in the application where you can fill out a questionnaire that you can see if you're eligible for a waiver of that application fee. I believe, unfortunately, for international students, you would not qualify, but feel free to go through that application form and see if you would be eligible. The application deadlines, as I mentioned here, apply early. Make sure that you have all of your information ready and ready to submit. December 31st is the first round deadline, and March 1st is the second round deadline, and April 30th is the third round deadline. For those applying from another country, I would encourage you to apply as soon as possible so that we're able to make a decision sooner rather than later, and then you can get your visa process going, and you don't have a delay in that area. The fees for the program are currently $81,216. That is the tuition. There are additional fees associated with becoming a student. So you've got your annual student fees. You also have your health insurance fee, and that can be waived if you're under maybe your parents' health insurance, but you do need to go through a process to get that waived. The fees for this year are obviously subject to change for the incoming class of 2023, but it usually does not increase very much, maybe 3%, 3.5%. So just bear that in mind. We do have financial aid available. We're very happy to be able to provide financial aid. In addition to just grad student loans, we're actually able to give loans for our international student population. We've got loans with Quorum and Discover and Prodigy, and they require no U.S. cosigner. So we're very happy to be able to provide our international students that opportunity to pay for their graduate education. There are a limited number of merit-based scholarships of varied amounts, which are awarded to students based on the overall strength of their admissions application and relative strength in the pool of admits. So that can vary anywhere from $5,000 to say $25,000, depending on the strength of your application. The awards are made by the UCLA Anderson MFE program at the time of admission or at any point during the admission cycle. You are considered for the merit-based scholarship from the application, and I'm very happy to say that unlike other scholarships that you have to apply for, you're actually not required to submit any additional information. You are considered straight from the application itself. So this year, I'm actually really happy to be able to tell you about the California Resident Fellowship, which I know doesn't apply to a lot of you on this call. However, I do know there are some on this call that are California residents. So for those of you who are considered a California resident, in addition to being considered for the merit-based scholarship, California residents are also eligible for a $10,000 fellowship. The California Resident Fellowship is available only to California residents who have been offered admission to the UCLA Anderson MFE program. U.S. citizens and permanent residents who have lived in California for more than 1 year qualify as California residents. There are questions in the UCLA Graduate Division application that will determine whether or not you are eligible. So definitely, start your application, go through it, take a look at everything and see where you can easily fill out different portions and find out some additional, things. It might be exciting to learn that, oh, wow, if I am offered admission, I will automatically get $10,000 for being a California resident. So I am also very pleased to mention that in an effort to increase diversity within the cohort, there is a new fellowship that combines financial support with mentorship and an internship at a top LA finance company. So we're very excited about this. I can't say much more than that because the details are still being worked out, but we wanted to let all of you know about this exciting new opportunity. And with that, now we have just a few minutes for questions. And if you do have questions, go ahead and type them into the chat box and I will read them out. And then me or one of my team members can answer the questions for you. But before we get into the questions in the chat box, I wanted to point out that we do have a frequently asked questions page, and it is listed right here on my slide. So make sure you guys take a few moments to check out the FAQ page. We have tried to be very all-inclusive so that we hit a lot of the questions that people generally would just shoot us an email about. We have taken all of those questions and put them into the FAQ page. So please make sure before you send us an email, go ahead and take a look at that. You may also contact us if you have questions regarding the admissions process. We have our admissions ambassadors, which we actually have 9 coming up this January. And if you all are admitted, you will have the opportunity to become an admissions ambassador yourselves. So, that's a great opportunity to kind of give back to all those that helped you get into grad school. So put that in the back of your mind to think about, possibly becoming an admissions ambassador for those that are coming after you. It's a big help. I'm sure you all know how helpful it is to speak with current students when you're looking through thinking about applying to grad school. So for specific admissions related inquiries, you may contact me or my admissions coordinator, Jeff. And for career related inquiries, you may contact the Director of Career Advising and Employer Relations, who was on this call and gave us a great overview of what we offer in the Career Services Department. And with that, let's go to the chat. And let's see here. So, okay.
I did see one early on, Leanna, asking about employment in the US. So I'm happy to take that question.
Rate. Yes. Okay. So the question to Amber is this 100% employment rate. What is its equivalent rate for jobs in US only?
Great question. So the vast majority of our students are employed in the US. And I think that this is a question you should ask every program that you are considering because it does vary widely across programs. I'll give you stats for our 2020 class, which is the most recent class that we have full stats for. And that is 91% are employed in the US. We had a handful of students, less than 10, that took jobs elsewhere, and the places they took jobs included Hong Kong, China, and London. So it's also not consistent where they decide to go if they do decide to seek employment out of the US. But obviously it's usually in places that have strong financial sectors. to give you a little overview of that. So I hope that was helpful. But in general, our students do very well in the US, and the vast majority do find full-time jobs. Some do want to go to other locations or back to their home country. And whatever their preferences are, we do support them in those endeavors.
Great. Thank you so much, Amber. And thank you, Gustavo, for your question. So moving on, Ethan asks, what if you have already taken some of these classes at NYU? Can you get these exempted so they don't have to be taken again? Unfortunately, Ethan, we do not exempt you from any courses. We do require that you take these courses from UCLA, and you will most likely learn things that you did not learn in other courses. We like everyone to be on the same learning field, the same playing field. And so we do not exempt someone. We do not waive someone out of a course that you may have already taken. Let's move on. Ayush Gupta, is the internship arranged for by UCLA? Amber, you want to take that question?
Absolutely, I'll take that one as well. Thank you for your question. So the applied finance project that Leanna had mentioned, that is arranged by UCLA. Internships are not, I would say, arranged. And I say that because we don't pass internships to students in that here is your offer. You can decide to take it or not. But what we do a mix of things, because finding a job is not the same for everyone. Different people find jobs different ways. And so what we do is we bring speakers to campus to inform students about different job tracks, to introduce them to people. We also send resume books out on behalf of students. And we do get many employers and alumni asking us for resumes or sending us specific openings that we pass on to students. Again, we also help them in searching for jobs online, putting their best foot forward with resumes, cover letters, interview preparation, as well as guidance on networking. So some students get job and internship offers through connections that we provide. Some students get internship and job interview invitations through our resume book services. Some get them through networking that we, help them provide. Some of them get them through online applications. I will say that is a low number if it's only an online application. The job search is really, you go about it multiple ways, and the students that use multiple paths to search for jobs find the best success. So we do a lot to help students in identifying and securing internships, but it is not something, we don't gather internships and pass them to students. That helps clarify that a little bit.
Right. Thank you so much, Amber. You also kind of touched upon what I think you would answer for Aditya. The next question is, for career shifters, what specific courses do you offer? Also, what help is provided for placements? So, Aditya, for career shifters, which we always have them, many people come from an engineering background and then shift to financial engineering, which, you're going to take the skills that you have from your electrical or mechanical engineering background, and you're going to apply them to quantitative finance. Actually, that's the majority of our students. But specific courses, I'm not sure. I can move the slide back to our curriculum, but so you can take a look at the courses. I'm not sure if you were with us when I went over the curriculum slide. However, this is our curriculum, and this is what we offer. And as I mentioned, sometimes the electives do change, but for the most part, this is what we offer. And we feel it's a very solid, it gives you a very solid start in quantitative finance. So as Amber was talking about, what internships were passed to students, I think Amber can probably also answer that, we do not place our students in their careers, but she can explain what we do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Leanna. And a big reason for this too is that each student has different preferences. Sometimes they have preferences on the type of company, the location of the company, compensation, flexibility, and work-life balance. There's many different factors involved in students' decision on what they want to target and where they want to go and what kind of place is the right fit for them. And what we do is we help empower students to find success in their career search. So we do big picture workshops and sessions to help students, gain a foundation. And we also do one-on-one coaching. And the one-on-one coaching is when we sit down and talk through what are your goals? What do you already have that's aligned with those goals, and where are the gaps, so that you can understand where you need to improve. For example, some conversations I've had with students this quarter is if they want to go into a role that requires very strong programming skills and they don't have those yet. One of the students had already said, I'm going to be working on Python over the winter break because the role that I want requires strong Python skills, and I have a good base, but I know to get the job that I want, I need to work on that more. That being said, students should not expect to come in and to have everything they need to be successful in the job search, because the program is really a lot of your training for the kinds of roles that you are targeting. And companies understand that. The ones at first will go after the students that have the strongest skills, but there are many jobs throughout the first year opportunities that students can take up. So you will build skills throughout the program that will prepare you for the job search. And students find fantastic internship opportunities. Some it's a good fit and they get a job offer back and continue on. And some realize through their internship, other things they want to do or different places they want to be. And they switch from their internship to a different focus for their full-time goals. So many different options, which is why there is not one answer. But all that to say, as Leanna shared, we have students coming in all the time that make shifts in what they were doing before and what they do after. And that really is the point of the program, is to help build a strong foundation for you to achieve your career goals.
Thank you so much, Amber. And moving on, Hughes is asking, I am very happy about this program, MFE. This area has been my passion for the past 15 years as a practitioner in financial engineering. I have a diploma in software engineering and Sage ERP certification. Am I qualified to apply, please? So as long as you have a 4-year degree or equivalent, you are qualified to apply. So if you've got a bachelor's diploma in software engineering, certainly yes. With the exception, as I mentioned, I pulled up the admissions requirements again, the slide, with the exception that of those that studied under the Bologna process, those applicants should actually present their 3-year bachelor's degree or the master's, the 3+2 degree. So I would certainly encourage you to apply if you're interested in learning more about quantitative finance. Miles asks, I know R and Python are emphasized in the course load. To what extent does the MFE program teach SQL? So Miles, we have just this year actually started teaching SQL in the program. So we offered 2 workshops, as I mentioned in my session earlier. However, as far as what is taught during the classes, that is mainly Python. We're going to use Python and R, but we do understand that a lot of the finance industry is looking for students that have skills with SQL. So that is why we added those workshops for our students to be able to dive in a little bit to SQL so that they're able to, do things in that language. So that's, I think that's an added benefit of our program. We also do offer pre-program workshops to our admitted students at no cost. And so we also offer data camp at no cost to our students. So that happens before you actually join the program. So we ask that you do a lot of prep work the summer before you begin our program. So moving on.
And Leanna, just to reiterate,
yes,
that Data
sure.
Camp has a bunch of different
Right.
programming tools that you can
Yes.
learn on their platform. It's a very popular platform, and
Yes.
you can really go wide with the different types of things to learn on there, or go deep into specific ones. So it's quite a fantastic tool that we offer.
Yes. And thank you, Amber. I appreciate you adding that. Okay, so Ayush Gupta is asking, what skills would you suggest are necessary for us to have a good background on for this course? Example, knowledge about specific coding languages, the degree of quantitative skills required, etc. So that's a great question, Ayush. As we have been talking about R and Python, it is very important to come in with more than an introductory level of knowledge of how to code in R and Python. I would also say that it would be very helpful for someone to come in with linear algebra, a good grasp of linear algebra, a good grasp of statistics, even advanced statistics. We do have a list of courses on our website that we encourage you to take a look at. And perhaps Jeff can put it in the chat box. Thank you, Jeff. And I would say, if you're coming from a non-STEM background, consider while you're applying, what is going to strengthen my application? What is going to help the MFE admissions committee see my potential for doing successful quantitative work? And that's what you're going to need to constantly ask yourself as you're preparing for a program like ours. So I would say, if you don't have any finance background, I would say pick up some Wall Street Journal articles, start reading, because when you're learning a new language, you need to immerse yourself in that language. So make sure that you stay on top of current news. There's all sorts of things going on in the world today. You can learn about different countries that are going through different financial struggles, or make sure that you stay on top of those kind of things, and learn the jargon, learn how to speak finance. And as I mentioned, when you're learning a new language, you need to immerse yourself. So I would say, read the Financial Times, read Wall Street Journal, pick up some books. How I Became a Quant is a good one. There's another one that has been touted as the Financial Engineering Bible, and that is Options, Futures, and Other Derivatives by John Hull. And that's Hull. Options, Futures, and Other Derivatives by John Hull. I would highly recommend that you all pick that up and, make sure that you read that. If you do read that and it's a page turner and you can't put it down, that means you're headed in the right direction. So Miles is asking, Amber, you mentioned a small percentage of students end up in non-finance related fields. What are those fields?
Thanks, Miles. Typically, that is data science roles. And sometimes the data science roles are finance adjacent, I would say, where the firm that they're with is finance focused, or the type of department group they're in does deal with finance topics. So their knowledge and background in finance is very helpful to them, but their primary role is data science. We do have some students that go more into roles that are highly focused on data science and don't have as much finance aspects involved in them. But mostly it's data science that is beyond the general finance world. Another thing you can do, if you want to go and get a range and viewpoint on where our FE alumni go, on LinkedIn, you can go to the UCLA Anderson page. And on that page, there is a alumni tab, and that'll show alumni from all of UCLA Anderson. However, what you can do is there's a search box, and in the search box in quotes, you can type financial engineering. And that should bring up a pretty good overview of our alums and where they're at. And we have, as Lena shared, the program's been going on for a while now, and we have so many alums in many different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the nice thing about searching through that, it'll give you a little snapshot of our alumni. And you can also search by location or company to kind of see what kind of roles they're in and what they're doing, and even their career progression too. Our students sometimes do switch after they've started their full-time job. They decide to take a different path in the career focus and have been very successful in that too. So it can be fun to look through that. And you can actually do this for any school. So any school you want to look in, you can search on LinkedIn for alumni and what they're doing now.
Look at that. You're already getting advice from our career director. So I wanted to briefly mention, I know that we're over time, and those of you that don't have the time to stick around, feel free to, shout out a little goodbye, and we're so happy you could join us. But if you're able to stay on, I will try and get through all of these questions. I also wanted to mention, Miles, along that question that you had, I will be hosting what I'm calling a coffee chat with an alumni in January, who just recently moved from his first position post MFE to his second position, which he's doing fintech now for a startup. And I believe as the years go by, we're going to see a lot more of our students doing that same thing. I've already heard from 2 different alums that are in startups. So, that's also a possibility. It's not the norm right now, but I have a feeling we're trending towards that. So, if you're interested, make sure you check out our admissions events page for the January event. We haven't put the date up yet, but it's going to be somewhere between January 10th and 14th. I just wanted to mention that. So moving on, Edris Loftpuri is asking, to what extent does MFE program get students ready to work in blockchain and crypto? So, that's a great question, and probably one that's better answered by the professor who teaches intro to the finance of blockchain and cryptocurrency. We did just add that elective to our curriculum this year, so we shall see how effective it was in readying our students for careers in this area. But because it is a topic that it's already here, we felt the need to educate our students in that direction. So I would say that when the market speaks, we listen and we make changes. And so that's another great thing about our program. So
And Leanna, I will add to that a little bit too.
Okay,
One
sure.
of our 2021 students that will be graduating soon did just accept a full-time job offer in the blockchain area. So
wonderful.
But again, this is a little bit of what students are interested. Some students are not interested in that at all. So they're not going to try and go into that.
Right, exactly.
But it is an area that we see more interest in, which is why we started offering the elective course in that.
Yes.
And for students that are interested, from the career team perspective, we have conversations about that and help them, connect and understand, that area and how to navigate that area and find opportunities in that area. So we're happy that this one student that was very interested in this space has just secured a role. So wanted to add that in.
Thank you. See, this is why we had you on. Okay, so hello, I'm Katie. If I haven't studied computer programming before, can I study online computer programming course and still qualify to apply for this program? So if so, do I have to complete the course before I apply, or is it okay as long as it is completed before school starts? So Katie, I think probably now I have answered your question a few times over, but yes, you are able to take data camp courses. You're also, if you are offered admission, you will be required to take the math and programming boot camp that we do offer at no cost to our admits. I would highly encourage you to sign up for as many programming courses as possible. Start from the bottom and keep going in R and Python. That is going to be incredibly helpful for you once the program begins. As far as finishing before you apply, that's usually not possible unless you started a year ago and now you're considering applying. But there is a place in the application that you can indicate what courses are in progress. And you can also upload your registration in the application so that we see that you actually have registered and you're actively participating in the class. You would then need to let us know that you had completed the course and show us the certificate. Let's see. So you're very welcome, Hughes. Neha is asking. I am doing well. Thank you for asking. I am a recently qualified chartered accountant from India, and I am trying to comprehend what skills you are looking for from an ideal candidate for MFE at UCLA. So, ideally, we are looking for quantitative aptitude and strong analytical skills. Do you have a 4-year bachelor's degree in a STEM background? If you don't, then we're looking for people that have done additional work, possibly on Coursera. But we're always looking for people who can show us that they have the quant skills necessary to succeed in our rigorous program. And Jeff has put the admissions requirements link in there. And he also mentioned the options, futures, and other derivatives, that book that I recommended by John Hull. That's definitely something that, if you're interested, if you're curious about financial engineering and you want to learn more, that is an essential book for financial engineering. And Belinda is asking, what is the preferred length of the resume or the CV? I can answer that for you. 1 page. That's 1 page. No employer is going to want to see 2 pages. We don't want to see 2 pages. You need to put the most important things on that 1 page. So Amber, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Sure. I know it can be challenging for some people to get used to being very concise in their resume, but as Leanna shared, people are most interested in the information that's relevant and that's most relevant. So some examples of things you don't need to include: anything before university is probably not as relevant to us. Anything that you've achieved a higher level of, we don't need to know about the lower levels because we know you're already at a higher level. And things that are maybe interesting, but not very relevant to the MFE, if you are squeezed for space, you might consider taking some of those out. Also keep in mind though, we do like to understand, the full background of students. Like we like well-rounded students too. So letting us know volunteer work that you do or hobbies or activities that you're involved in, those are great as well, but it should be things that you actually are involved in, not something you did once that was a very short, kind of like a one-day experience kind of thing. So I hope that helps. It is different if you're applying to a PhD program. They want to see absolutely everything you've ever done in your entire life. Those are very different those are called CVs, and they are excessively long, as you'll see with our faculty. But for applications and for careers within the program, we keep things to one page. When you're in the program, we help you understand what is best for that. And then Leanna also shared just kind of best practices for applications.
Right. Yes. And the other thing to note is that if you're taking things off of your resume, that particular section might be good to kind of expound upon in the personal statement. That's where you can go into maybe your interests and, how you got where you are today. So you don't have to include everything in your resume, especially when it comes to the application, because there are different points in the application where you can express yourself in other ways. So bear that in mind. So it looks like we have hit the bottom of the questions, and I would like to thank everyone for staying with us an additional 23 minutes. I know we did get started just a few minutes late. So we are very appreciative for all of your questions and for all your attention. And we really encourage you to apply and take a look at our frequently asked questions page. And I hope everyone has a good morning, a good afternoon, or a good evening, okay? Everyone take care. Thank you.